I'm Nick Westergaard, and this is On Brand, helping you tell your story. My guest this week is Carl Daikeler.
I think isn't that where the best brands come from? I don't think it starts brand first. I think it starts with problem solving first, and then that solution, if it's elegant and effective, is what builds the brand. And the execution of that, the explanation of that problem, execution of the solution is what the brand sits on top of.
Carl Daikeler is a visionary entrepreneur and the CEO and co-founder of the Beachbody Company, leading innovator in the fitness and nutrition space. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Daikeler has been a trailblazer, pioneering unconventional and highly effective methods to help individuals reach their health and fitness goals. Daikeler co-founded Beachbody in 1998, now known as BODi, which has expanded into a powerhouse of fitness and nutrition tools under his leadership over the past 26 years. The brand is celebrated for its iconic programs such as P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix, and its profound impact on millions worldwide. My interview with Carl Daikeler is coming right up. But first,
my dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day, my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big MQL man. Then he just kept saying things like, the more MQLs, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means marketing qualified lead. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the MQL man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Lacey Boggs hosts and produces a great podcast called Ace Stone Marketing Detective. Little bit different than your normal podcast on MPN. Lacey, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Ace Stone Marketing Detective is a fully scripted and produced fictional radio play that follows crack marketing detective Ace Stone as she bamboozles the bad guys and detects dastardly deeds in the marketing industry. The podcast is a funny, tongue-in-cheek look at content marketing, shady marketers, and suspicious marketing techniques online. And I think it's a fun new way to have a business podcast that proves that marketing can be playful and effective.
Where can people subscribe to this thing?
You can go to acemarketingdetective.com or find it in your favorite podcast player or go to the Marketing Podcast Network.
You heard her. Go subscribe.
Carl Daikeler, welcome to On Brand.
Thank you, Nick. It's great to be here, and thank you for making me sound way more important than I am.
I was going to say it's your bio, my friend. So I would say it is a powerful and compelling story. And as we look back on that story, it's really again a juggernaut in health, fitness, nutrition. Where did this start with you? What was the seed that bore all of this fruit?
Yeah, well, it's okay. So when I started my career, I thought I was going to be a sports TV producer. That's what I was drawn to. That's what I was fascinated with as a kid, very young. And I can remember when I was just out of college and I produced a halftime show for a national broadcast of a college football game between Syracuse and Army, West Point. And so I was sort of indexing above my age, and the halftime production went great. The package that I'd produced rolled in to this telecast, and the people in the truck applauded that the kid delivered. And I remember when it was done, I stepped out of the truck and they were just starting the second half of the game. And I looked down at the field and I thought, this is empty. It's cool. I'm excited by this, but I'm just really like, I love sports, but I was just a witness to it, and I wasn't participating, and I didn't feel like I was contributing really in a meaningful way for me. So that's when I made the decision that I wanted to use my fascination and enthusiasm for media to help teach or instruct or fill a gap. And we're talking about late 80s at this point, when media and the use of video to instruct began to create efficiencies over in-person instruction. So that was sort of the shift for me. And I would say it turned into fitness when I created a program called 8-Minute Abs, and it was out of personal necessity. And it was for a different company. It wasn't for Beachbody. And but I was just like, you know what? I don't like working out. So if I could just get myself to do 5 to 10 minutes of something every day, that would be better than this nothing that I'm doing. So I created this video, and little did I expect to sell 2 million copies of it. And I was like, wait a minute, there's something about delivering um, uh, fitness information that is easily scalable through media that can help people like me who don't naturally love it, and who, I literally don't like any witnesses when I work out. That's why I don't like working out in a gym. So I was solving my own problem, and then and turned out I had ideas to help trick myself into working out that turned into a business model. And that was the genesis of it, from wannabe sports producer to solving my own problem to stay active and healthy now into my 60s. And it's been a good ride.
I love that story, especially kind of your own pain points in there of abs out of necessity and hating going to a gym. And
Yeah.
my knowing laugh that folks might have heard is because this past winter I broke my ankle, so I'm in physical therapy for the foreseeable future. And I had it this morning, and it is adjoining to a gym, and I hate gyms. I'm a runner. I love being alone and doing my thing. But I had to go over to the gym and do some squats, and there were people there, and I'm like, I just hate. So
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. But I think that's such an important thing to key in on, and I think your aforementioned bio talked about all the things that you've done, but I really think that yours is, nestled in the bio of all of the things is all of the impact of helping someone solve a problem. I mean, that's really at the heart of some of the best brands out there is, I don't like this thing. I have trouble with XYZ and I want to be better. And it's a big gap to span. And if you can find something that fits that, it can really be magic and as you're saying, fulfillment instead of just being the bystander of the game.
Well, I think, isn't that where the best brands come from? I don't think they, I don't think it starts brand first. I think it starts with problem solving first, and then that solution, if it's elegant and effective, is what builds the brand. And the execution of that, the explanation of that problem, the execution of the solution is what the brand sits on top of. And I don't think it ever is the other way around. You can't create a brand and then fit a product to it, which is what's so dangerous about brand expansion. Everybody could look at Coke to New Coke. I saw an energy shot that Coca-Cola had put out under the Coca-Cola brand. But I don't know about you, but if I equate the experience of Coca-Cola with a fizzy drink that is very difficult to do as a shot, so that wouldn't translate into an energy shot for me. And I think I heard that they actually pulled that product after a year. So ultimately, I think great brands sit on top of courageous thinking about problem solution. And that's what we've tried to do at what's called BODi now, BODi. It's really a collection of brands. And the name BODi, or previously Beachbody, was less relevant than the underlying brands like people know P90X or 21 Day Fix, or like you mentioned, Shakeology. These things are all designed to solve a problem. And that's why they've created billions of dollars of value, because they're really good.
So you kind of highlighted in there some of the, both where the best brands come from, but also the challenges with expansion. And you're not, as noted, without that. So what, from a brand perspective, as the company and offerings grew, what determined, this is not a part of this existing brand, this is its own brand? How do you weigh that? Because again, it's easy to kind of fall into that trap that Coke fell into.
Yeah, I think I'm no expert in this stuff, and I'm definitely not educated in it, but after 25 years running this business, I think it's really simple, that the brand association can't just be about familiarity. It's got to be about familiarity to what that brand meaning is. So, just having an association with Beachbody or BODi is not, it would be very limiting. And I think every extension would dilute the brand. So instead, we would name things according to what that solution means. So for instance, we have a program called Lava. Well, it's called BODi Lava. That's releasing at the end of June. I'm not sure when this podcast will air, but this program, we call it the perfect workout because it's just 20 minutes, no weights, combination of strength training with body weight, cardio, power yoga, primal movement, and which will give you agility and mobility. So, we create, so that's Lava, heat, flexibility, and liquidity and movement. And, we're going to have close to 100,000 people starting that program in early July. And it's because they're fascinated with the new and expect that to have a promise that is unique unto itself. If I just sat that on top of the BODi brand, and called it BODi Program 135, it just wouldn't have any meaning. And the overall BODi brand would have to carry all the baggage from everything prior. So I think it's important to challenge your creativity and be courageous enough, if you believe in the problem solution framework, that the problem that you're solving deserves to be named and claimed. And that's where this new brand can then be directly associated with solving that problem. And again, it takes courage because you're leaving the familiar, you're leaving behind brand equity. But ultimately, that's how you get to create a whole new category for yourself, where you are in a category of one, because you're the first one to identify the problem and create a solution that people will now forever associate with your product.
On Brand, we'll be right back after this.
My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big MQL man. Then he just kept saying things like, the more MQLs, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means marketing qualified lead. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the MQL man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Lacey Boggs hosts and produces a great podcast called Ace Stone Marketing Detective. Little bit different than your normal podcast on MPN. Lacey, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Ace Stone Marketing Detective is a fully scripted and produced fictional radio play that follows crack marketing detective Ace Stone as she bamboozles the bad guys and detects dastardly deeds in the marketing industry. The podcast is a funny, tongue-in-cheek look at content marketing, shady marketers, and suspicious marketing techniques online. And I think it's a fun new way to have a business podcast that proves that marketing can be playful and effective.
Where can people subscribe to this thing?
You can go to acemarketingdetective.com or find it in your favorite podcast player or go to the Marketing Podcast Network.
You heard her. Go subscribe.
Now, back to the show. So, speaking of branding and rebranding, I hear that there is a story behind the move away from Beachbody to BODi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course. I mean, that was a big decision.
Yeah.
Now, first off, we naming the company Beachbody was just as a thing to hold the underlying brand like P90, the underlying brands like P90X and Sanity and 21 Day Fix and all the programs that we've created. And it was to connote that, we want everybody to feel good about themselves, going to the beach and to think about, that sort of connote that feeling of confidence and health and fresh air that comes with going to the beach. But we never expected it to be a term of judgment. And we've seen over the course of the last 10 years, and particularly more acutely post-pandemic, that if you search the term Beachbody and take our brand out of it, then the underlying references are fairly negative, a celebrity seen on the beach flaunting their beach body kind of thing. And that association really undermined the mission of the business to help people achieve their goals and lead healthy, fulfilling lives. And I want everybody to feel comfortable associating with the brand and not feel like they're not welcome because they're not what they would term a beach body. And so we already owned the acronym Beachbody On Demand Interactive and the URL associated with that, BODi.com. So we said, isn't this a better way to associate and bring people into this ecosystem that's really designed to help them with a complete approach to what we call health esteem. That's feeling good about yourself while you're trying to improve yourself with fitness, nutrition, and some supplementation for sort of biohacking. And it just felt like the better long-term, 20-year plan to build a company that's going to be the leader in this space of helping people achieve their goals. So it was a big move after 22 years or so. But I think ultimately really important for what the next 20 years can be for our objective to be the leader in this space of helping people achieve their goals.
I love that story, and I love the idea too of health esteem and really looking at kind of the broader context online too of terminology around this and what that meaning was. As you talk about 20 plus years in the space, building a brand and marketing, I was surprised to see in my own research on this. You started out with infomercials.
Yeah.
So the landscape of marketing and brand building has changed dramatically in this time. So how do you kind of now I've got the beach theme going, for better for worse. How do you ride the wave of marketing and media today?
Yeah, well, the infomercial served us so well because we could tell a complete story and show what results look like. And in the current media environment, you sort of use the collective, what I would call a marketing constellation, to replicate what the jugular messaging of an infomercial, which can tell this complete story, and you call it 3 10-minute segments in that half hour. And now it's about repeating your story, or what I would say your problem and solution, in multiple ways, in multiple media, and doing your best to attribute traffic and ultimately orders to the collection of what started the storytelling and then what retargeted with a value presentation and then a compelling offer. And so it is much harder in this environment because you don't get the direct attribution to where the causation came from. So now you have to constantly look at where is traffic coming from. But ultimately, it goes back to the same framework of, demonstrating a problem. In this case, in my case, I don't like going to the gym. I'm not motivated to work out, and inventing and promoting solutions. And that's what, BODi has over 130 different approaches to that solution in what we call bespoke programs, meaning P90X is a 90-day solution. 21-day fix is a 21-day solution that people repeat. Just a half hour a day. This program that I'm doing in July, BODi Lava, is 20 minutes a day, perfect for the summer because I don't have to cart around equipment if I'm traveling, going on vacation, and it's going to open up joints and just help my overall agility and mobility. So every program of the 130 in the collection is promoted in a way that positions it to solve somebody's problem. And then you let the social media algorithms go find that audience for you. And hopefully when that traffic comes to your landing page, you're going to help demonstrate to people how this solution is going to help them where many things that they've tried in the past have not. And that's the job of a good product, to come through on that promise.
Speaking of promises, it seems like customer care is something that really underlies your work, your company, your products. How do you continue that dedication as there are shifts in brands, in products, in offering, in media? How do you kind of keep that North Star in scope?
Yeah, it's all about results and outcome and experience. I didn't do that in the right order. Let's say experience, results along the way in the experience, and then the ultimate outcome. So, and in fact, that's the difference between us and I think just about every other platform, and why I can't identify with a gym membership is because I'm just not motivated, because I don't like it that much to go to the gym every day, or for that matter, I know you like to run. I would never be a consistent runner. I don't get that much joy from it. I've got trick ankles, and so it's always precarious for me. So I need projects. So we are a collection of projects, and that's what's so powerful about our solution compared to others that are fine solutions, Pelotons, Obey, other apps that are out there. But they're sort of, you plug in and you're going to be doing that for, that's your plan now for the next decade, where the BODi content is, I'm thinking about the next 6 weeks. And can I do 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week for the next 6 weeks? And if I can be consistent with that, drink 1 shake a day for breakfast, I know I'm going to lose that 5 pounds that crept on through April and May and June, right? And by the end of 6 weeks, I'm going to have the gratification of finishing something and seeing the results. And that actually makes me want to keep going. And so this is the model that I need, which has resulted in a platform of these programs that, this is what attracts other people who have the same issues with a gym or a subscription or consistency that I do. And that is, we want a series of bespoke projects, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 80 workouts, 100 workouts, whatever it is, because we want to get that badge for completion. And that's the model. And that's what we serve, the end user. And when we veered from that is when our business model was not as productive, because we were trying to be what somebody else is instead of who we are. And what we are is a collection of programs that help people go from day 1 to day 90, for instance, with an outcome that they can be proud of and that they can measure.
That is a great way of thinking and focus. And I'm sitting here thinking it wasn't the 5 pounds in April of May. It was the 10 pounds of not moving as much as I usually do from winter. So I need to find one of these time frames that works for me. Well, Carl, you've made me smile really from the jump here. And I am excited now to hear about a brand that has made you smile recently.
Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit, because you said when we were just getting on here, you told me about your issues with your ankle. And my daughter had an issue with her ankle recently. And so I wanted to help her with that. And I did some research, and there's a product called the WAF, WAFF, which I would highly recommend to you. And I bought a couple for her. I've used it. Like I said, I've got trick ankles myself. I've got no association with the company, but this product, I actually saw LeBron James using it, warming up for a game one time. He was warming up his ankles, standing on this thing. And so it challenged his balance, his core, but also strengthened his ankles. And he just took like 5 minutes, this courtside, to warm up his ankles on this sort of inflatable pillow that it costs more than you might expect, but it's like strong enough for you to stand on. And really is just phenomenal for how it strengthens your ankle. And so it made me smile, made me feel good that I could provide that to my daughter, who's frustrated. She's a performer, so she needs to be mobile to go on stage and do things. She can't be limping around. And I would say for anybody, who's listening to you, who's a runner, and as you want to get back on the road, I would suggest maybe devoting, that 5 minutes a morning to working your ankles on one of these WAF. I don't know what they call it, pillow. I don't know what it would be called, but like it's WAFF, and it made me smile for sure. And I think it could help you.
No, I just looked it up. I used something similar at PT this morning, but not exactly this. But this looks like right up the alley. It is. I think the URL. There's all sorts of stuff, but we will link up to that in our show notes. Speaking of links in the show notes, Carl, where, with everything you have going on, where do we send people?
Well, what I would suggest is people who are, maybe interested in understanding what these 130 or 134 programs are that I talked about. They can actually browse them and try any of our sample workouts for free on something that we call BODiPreviews.com. That's BODi Previews.com. And just in exchange for your email address, we'll give you lifetime access to these 130 workouts. And that's where you can try this program, BODi Lava, if you want to try the sample and maybe do it with me in July if people want to do that. I also do have a personal community, that people who sort of want to talk either business or want to understand what the company or what I'm doing to stay in shape. And that community I keep in touch with through text. So if people want to, like, for instance, they could text me the word lava and I'd send them information on this program. And that's at 818-650-4369. Again, 650-4369. And from time to time, I'll text people on what's going on and when we're getting a big group together that's going to try to start a program and finish it and support each other along the way. So I would say that's the best way to poke around and see what BODi's about.
Awesome. Well, again, we will link up to all of that in our show notes, which folks can always find at onbrandpodcast.com. Carl Daikeler, thanks for being on brand with us.
Thanks, Nick.
On Brand is part of the Marketing Podcast Network. If you like what you're hearing, if we've made you smile, you can always listen free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite platform may be. And please take a moment and rate and review the podcast to help others find the show. Until next week, I'm Nick Westergaard, and I'll see you on the internet.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Lacey Boggs hosts and produces a great podcast called Ace Stone Marketing Detective. Little bit different than your normal podcast on MPN. Lacey, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Ace Stone Marketing Detective is a fully scripted and produced fictional radio play that follows crack marketing detective Ace Stone as she bamboozles the bad guys and detects dastardly deeds in the marketing industry. The podcast is a funny, tongue-in-cheek look at content marketing, shady marketers, and suspicious marketing techniques online. And I think it's a fun new way to have a business podcast that proves that marketing can be playful and effective.
Where can people subscribe to this thing?
You can go to acemarketingdetective.com or find it in your favorite podcast player or go to the Marketing Podcast Network.
You heard her. Go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.